Hey there, friends, it's Leon, your host, and today I get to share with you an incredible conversation with my friend David Pomfret. David is from England and is a man of impeccable taste in design, photography, and let's face it, anything aesthetic. David had a super successful design agency, and then he did what all of us wish we could do. Drop everything, travel the world, and fund that travel purely from posting on Instagram. We talk about his best practices of Instagram and so much more. This show is brought to you by Essential Edit, editing and design for photographers just like you. Yes, Lightroom editing, retouching, and album design all done to your spec, your style, so that you can focus on the essentials of your business. Instead of dreading the edit, spend that time booking more clients, networking with vendors, or spending more time doing the things that you love. It's super affordable, 3 to 5 day turnaround, friendliest service on the planet, and yes, always satisfaction guaranteed. Get started by sending us your samples at essentialedit.com. Enjoy the show. David Pomfret, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
You are very welcome.
I want to tell a quick story about how I met you.
It's a good one.
And yeah, and how we got to know each other, and what I think of you, because I think that you're a fantastic guy that everyone should know. So many years ago, I had another editing business, and it was called Colorati, and things were going well, but we really needed a much better website, and we needed a website that absolutely blew away all my competition. So I started looking around on the internet for amazing, forward-thinking, modern designers. And for some reason, all of the best web designers were coming out of the UK. And I found your name, and we got in touch, and you built the famous Colorati website, which I think really helped propel us to the next level. I always appreciated working with you. We always had a really great working relationship, and it went beyond that. After the project was done, we stayed in touch, and you came to San Diego at one point. We got to hang out, and it's been very cool getting to know you and watch how your career has changed over time. So let's start with this. Tell me where you're from and where are you now?
Sure thing. So I'm originally from England, as you mentioned, and right now I am just chilling in Thailand.
Chilling in Thailand? What are you doing in Thailand?
I am just exploring on a daily basis and just trying to see as much as humanly possible before I leave in about a week.
Amazing. So give us a little bit of background on your career, on the arc of your career. Where did you come from, and how did that evolve and get you to where you're at today?
Sure thing. So throughout school, I was always a designer. It was no different after school. Started as a graphic designer. And as we all do at some point in our careers, I got a little bit bored and I decided to start my own company. We transitioned into web. We then transitioned into mobile. And really, I just built this design agency where we design and built products for digital tech companies. And it was a blast. I've always really appreciated your impeccable sense of design. I mean, that was one of the things that just caught my attention right away, was that everything you designed was just magical to me. In my opinion, I thought it was amazing. And I enjoyed seeing the way that you had structured things, where you were kind of the master architect of everything, and everything, regarding design and all the little details. But you had some people doing more of the technical coding in the background as well. And I feel like you played to your strengths really, really well. And so you were able to go from kind of a one-man operation to a bigger operation, working for bigger companies. And then did you walk away from it all and decide to go travel the world? Is that kind of what you're doing right now? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's an interesting story. Like, after remote working with the design agency for 3 or so years, I was just like, you know what? I've just realized that it's the travel that really motivates me rather than the design. And I think by that point, I'd been designing as a career for like 10 years. So it just felt like a good time to step away and to really just follow my passion, which was the travel.
Amazing. I think that's something that a lot of people really wish that they could do. How did you get the courage to just do it?
You see, that's something that everyone always asks me, and I never have a good answer for, just because it's like what people say, why did you start your design agency when you were 19? Like, weren't you scared? And it's just like, no, it's just like, when you're like handed opportunities, I'm a bit of a yes man. You should just say yes to things and try them. And if you fail, you fail, and you just go on to the next thing. And
so how are you able to, well, let's start with this. How did you transition into doing travel photography? Was it purely a hobby?
At the beginning, it was a hobby. I did a lot of travel photography when I started traveling full-time around about 4 or 5 years ago. And that was more or less just the family requested I take pictures so they can see what I'm up to. Big family guy, and I wanted to keep them in the loop. And over time, it has just progressed into something that I've realized is something that I can capitalize on in order to fund travel. And it's also a huge passion of mine. I mean, I studied it at college as well.
Mm-hmm. You know, all through the years that we've known each other, I mean, how many years would that make it? Like 7 or 8 years even? I don't know, maybe 7 years that we've known each other. Yeah, one thing that I've noticed is that I feel like over time, one thing I've noticed about you is that you've never been a huge social media guy. You kind of pick and choose where you have web presence, which I've always admired because I'm kind of a Swiss Army knife. You know, if there's something going on Facebook, boom, I'm there. If there's something going on Instagram, I'm there. And I feel like over time, you've really studied every platform that's been out there. And, you know, you've kind of landed on Instagram. You're now doing travel photography. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the sense of design. You know, you had a strong sense of design, you know, from the start. Did you feel like photography came easy to you?
So I because I studied design and photography at the same time, you see a lot of similarities between them both. I mean, the devil is in the detail. I always like to use the reference point of like Harry Potter, that whole series of books, and then the movies are only as good as they are because the devil is in the detail. And it's the same with photography and design. And I think that's just something that I am acutely aware of. So I always found photography relatively easy, just like I have with design and illustration and anything else that is remotely creative, just because I think that's just part of my DNA. And I'm just very aware of those details. Like when I see them, that's when I pick up the camera and shoot. If I don't see them, the camera stays in the bag and I just enjoy the moment.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to photographers, there are kind of two types of photographers, and one would be the pure artist who really just imagines something magical that they want to capture, and they can capture that, whether it's timing or composition or color or whatever. And then there is the kind of technical photographer, the guy or gal who is really into, you know, dialing in settings and really coordinating something amazing. Where would you say you fall in those categories? Are you somewhere in between? When you started doing photography, did you jump into the technical aspect of photography with shutter speed and aperture, that kind of stuff? Or was it more just kind of like, hey, I have this vision, I'm just going to go capture it and then work it out?
So I would definitely say I'm somewhere in the middle, and I would say a lot of it comes down to what I had to learn in college for photography. We were given 2 sets of rules. One is our camera had to be film and completely manual. And the second was we had to develop all of our own pictures in the darkroom. So
beautiful.
And with those 2 aspects, one I loved and one I hated. I loved picking all the manual settings and getting it just right on a film camera, especially because you only have a certain number of shots per roll. And the developing of the film was just not my strong suit. And I think it's the same with design. Like I didn't like drawing with pen and paper, but I love doing it on a computer. So I just took away the darkroom, replaced it with digital editing, and love for photography has remained ever since.
That's awesome. Okay, so kind of tying back to this thought or my observation of you not being necessarily like the Swiss Army knife of social media like I am. So how did you land on Instagram? Talk about the inspiration for embracing Instagram and how you have been able to leverage that to fund your lifestyle.
So I think this definitely boils back down to working in the tech industry. Like I'm a hacker. I test everything and see what works. It's basically just like throwing ideas at a wall and seeing what sticks. And to me, I just think my love of photography and the medium of Instagram was something that just stuck. And I was able to enjoy taking and developing pictures and posting them on Instagram, and then hacking and testing everything to see what would work engagement-wise. And then all of a sudden, people just started getting in touch saying, hey, we want to give you a free hotel for a week if you go take some pictures. Or, hey, we want to give you some clothes. You just got to take some pictures of them. And then it kind of became like, oh, so this can fund travel. Let's just keep doing it and see what works better. And hopefully at some stage it will be able to fund life and travel.
That's beautiful. So it sounds like your work was attracting these types of people who could set you up at a hotel or help you with, clothing or accessories or gear or whatever. Was it mostly people approaching you, or did you also reach out to some people and try to generate some interest?
So it started off with people approaching me, which gave me the realization that, oh, okay, like my account is good enough to get these kind of sponsorship deals. And then I did approach others. So it's a happy medium. I'm always a bit on the cheeky side. Like I will try and go big or go home. So I'll like get in touch with the 5-star resort and say, hey, you want a picture? Which doesn't always work. But then I can always fall back to the people that actually got in touch with me and will want to, exchange services.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are some things that have worked well for you on Instagram? I mean, there are a lot of white hat and black hat kind of techniques that people use on Instagram. Having known you, I don't see you as a guy who's using a lot of the, real tricky kind of clever stuff on Instagram. I feel like you're probably more of a really organic, just provide good content kind of guy. So what are some things that have worked well for you? Are there some things that have surprised you that worked well on Instagram? What gets you the best traction?
For me, the thing that has surprised me the most and got me the most engagement are locations. And to kind of give you an example, I'm not talking about like going down to there's this amazing beach in Bali called Sunday's Beach Club. It's not about going down to Sunday's Beach Club, taking loads of pictures and tagging it as Sunday's Beach Club. So I will go take pictures somewhere in Bali, and I will tag every single picture I take in Bali as Bali, because those people that are traveling or planning their vacation, they don't know where they want to go in Bali yet. They're just going to search for Bali, and then they'll see stuff they like, and then they'll try and find out where that is in relation to their hotel or wherever they're staying in Bali. And the best trick for me there is, because the location's Bali, they don't know where it is. They just know they want to go there. And then that forces the engagement. So they'll post on the picture saying, hey, where is this in Bali? And then there you go. You've got your engagement. They found your content, and it's just kind of a win-win.
That's a really cool technique. Man, I hadn't thought of that. So you kind of have a general tag that just kind of lands you in that zone, and then that helps create a conversation around that photo. That's amazing. I know from one of the social media accounts that I run for a jiu-jitsu academy here in San Diego, where I train. I run their social media. And one thing that I've noticed on Instagram that gets us more traction is photos with faces, but photos where people are smiling. I've noticed that the faces that are smiling are images that tend to get more likes, more comments, videos or whatever, get more views. Is there anything that would kind of relate to that for you with travel photography? Is there something that you feel like people like seeing more, or something that maybe has kind of bombed? What kind of images do you feel like get you the best traction?
If there isn't a person in the picture, traction is ridiculously low.
Really?
Yeah, which is like, for example, right now, my girlfriend's back in Norway, so I'm traveling on my own. So I had to I went out, I got a tripod, remote triggers, and then like the traction has, I don't know, at least doubled just from me putting myself in these images the last couple of weeks.
So let's peel back on that a little bit. As a design expert and photography expert, is it sense of scale? Is it, sense of humanity? What do you think people are connecting with?
I actually think it is, one, adding a focal point, and two, the contrast of color. Like you will see, especially in Bali, where everyone's taking pictures of waterfalls, everyone will be dressing in something that's either like red or orange, something that contrasts against the green and the blues of the waterfall. And it just adds that interesting focal point to kind of, I don't know, it just levels up the picture just that one level. We're just having something more than the waterfall to look at. And it certainly adds a sense of identity. Like if every picture I'm posting has a picture of me in it as well, if that gets regrammed somewhere, then people, I'm covered in tattoos, so it's obvious it's me. So yeah, it just helps with that brand as well.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good point. So location tagging is one thing. Having, human in the image for travel photography seems to be working well. What about hashtags? What is your theory or philosophy on hashtags?
Hashtags help tremendously. It's something I've been experimenting with a lot lately. I would always say like having your own hashtag. So someone can always find your content, and if they regram it, they can use your hashtag and kind of keep that momentum going. Right now, I've kind of got this little kind of method down, which is like first hashtag is my own. Then I do a couple of the top 100 hashtags that everybody uses, not just travel photographers. So like photo of the day, for example. And then I go and use hashtags from companies that regram, like Best Vacations or World Nomads, etc. And then I just round it off with location-based stuff. So Bali and any accounts that are in Bali that regram other people. So you usually have like the tourist boards. And then that seems to be working really well as a kind of a model going forwards.
Nice. Now, I could answer this question myself by looking at your Instagram account, but what is your preference? Are you one who likes to use hashtags in the initial caption, or do you put it in the first comment? What have you tested that as well?
I haven't tested it. The only reason I haven't tested it, and the only reason I put it as the comment opposed to in the caption, is because my designer in me hates seeing the hashtags.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, it's always the comment.
I hear you for sure. I agree with that totally. Do you use any type of like a third party app like Later or Planoly or something to help you kind of plan out your posts? Or are you really just kind of doing an airdrop to your phone and posting it on Instagram? What's your method for post-production on getting things posted?
So after every shoot, I will go away and edit. I use Lightroom, so I have the Lightroom mobile app to just get the photos on my phone. And then I will create every single post as a draft with the caption, location, and everything ready to go. And then I just post one every morning when I wake up. Just kind of my morning routine, check Instagram, post on Instagram.
Nice. And are you a business account or private account? I'm sorry, not private, like a personal account or a business account.
I'm a business account.
There we go.
You've got analytics, tech industry, analytics. It's like hand in hand. Okay,
so we've talked about hashtags, location tagging, actual composition of the images. What about comment pods? Have you ever used those to raise engagement?
I have not, and I hadn't heard of them until the other day. It's like a dirty little secret, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe in a way. It might be a dirty little secret. Essentially, comment pods were created to kind of game the algorithm. When the algorithm on Instagram came out, of course, that meant that your photos weren't always guaranteed to be shown to your viewers. And so I dove into comment pods for a little while just to check it out and see how it worked. And basically, you can find comment pods anywhere on either Facebook. There's actually websites where you can go sign up for a pod and you tell them what your interest is, what type of content you provide, and then they try to match you up with like-minded people. And what happens is you are added to a private message, a group private message on Instagram. And when somebody posts something, they also share it within that thread. Now, rules vary from pod to pod, but usually what people say is you'll have to go to that post and you'll like the post and then you'll leave a comment on that post. And of course, with the Instagram algorithm, it actually looks at things like, is it more than 3 words? Is it just emojis? Is it an actual sentence, or is it just kind of random words? And so it's looking at all these types of things. And so the comment pod, they really try to provide real comments, actual comments on the content, excited, love, whatever, kind of types of comments about the images. And the goal is to do that within, a few minutes or, the immediate kind of timeline of when that was posted as a way to kind of signal to Instagram that, hey, this is a hot image or this is a hot post. So, what I liked about comment pods was that it did seem to help a little bit when it came to engagement and maybe distribution. I also liked that it provided a chance to connect with other people on Instagram. You can make new friends on Instagram through these comment pods. How has the Instagram community been to you? Have you made new friends? Have you connected with people in real life that you've met on Instagram?
Yeah, I think the Instagram community is really good. The best part of it for me is using the service to find places to shoot photos or where to find good food when traveling. Those situations usually then end up with me meeting like-minded people. I mean, when it comes to shooting waterfalls in Bali, all the Instagrammers, they get up at 5 a.m., they drive a couple of hours, they're there for sunrise, and then obviously you get talking whilst you're waiting for the perfect light. Or in the case of a restaurant, you Instagram somewhere, you go to the restaurant, you have a great time, you Instagram story that, and then you get chatting via Instagram and eventually in person. So in that sense, from online to offline, it's been fantastic. And I do really like the concept behind these comment pods to kind of further that social progression.
Yeah, totally. Now I have a question. Just give us a little bit of insight. I mean, you don't have to give all your details and secrets here, but maybe give us an idea of what one of the most exciting moments was for you when it came to finding a sponsor or somebody who wanted to hook you up with something. Was there a moment you opened up Instagram one morning and your jaw kind of fell to the floor and you just couldn't believe that somebody gave you such a cool offer? Has there been something like that? And, in vague or specific terms, you can describe that if you have a story to share with us.
So I think my favorite time that I got a sponsorship was actually just last month in Bali. This company got in touch. Literally, in my description, it says where my current location is and where I'm going next. As soon as I switched that to Bali, I got an instant DM, not even joking, literally that second. And Wow. It was this guy that manages this hotel chain. And he was just we want to hook you up with these 4 different hotels around Bali. They're all in different locations. And to me, it wasn't what the quality of the hotel, which was fantastic. It was just the fact that they're in different locations in Bali that I was going to go to anyway. But then I already had somewhere to stay. and it was just an expense I no longer needed, and I got to see more of that island, which is absolutely stunning if you haven't been there before. And those kind of opportunities to me are the best, the ones that leverage my ability to experience more of somewhere I'm traveling to.
Amazing. Okay, so hotels, clothing, all that stuff's kind of cool. What type of gear are you traveling with? I mean, I imagine traveling the world, you've got to be kind of a minimalist when it comes to gear. I think I see a drone shot on your Instagram, and certainly you're probably working with like a mirrorless or a DSLR. Give us a little insight onto your gear. What's the kind of go-to camera, and what are you using?
The go-to camera right now is the Sony A6500. Mm-hmm. It is a beast. I love it. The low light's incredible. The shutter speed is redonkulous. But mainly, I got it for the low light, just to level up from the iPhone, which is what I was using before. And you rightly mentioned I have a drone. I have the Mavic. It is my baby. It's called Albert.
Drone shots are kind of hot right now, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that's really killing it on Instagram happens to be really cool, creative drone shots. I see a little bit of video on here as well. I think if I remember, you have a YouTube channel. Is that part of your larger goal as well, like providing video content for some of these resorts and hotels?
For the past year or so, I've just been experimenting with different things. So I started out experimenting with travel blogging, and then I switched to travel vlogging. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I was just, throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what stuck. And to me, Instagram stuck. But video has a huge soft spot with me, and it's definitely something I want to do more with. But right now, it's just, focusing on the career switch. And then when that's solid, then I shall go back to video for sure.
Epic. Cool. Yeah, I mean, the video looks really nice and clean. I just love how your your training in design and photography have just served you well. I love the work that you're doing now. I've just always been a huge fan of your design work, and now the work that you're doing on Instagram. I think it's highly inspirational. I think a lot of people out there see these travel bloggers and travel Instagrammers and they go, man, I want to do that. And nobody does it, but you did it. So congrats to you, my man. Where are you off to next? I think you mentioned it a moment ago.
Yeah, well, I'm going back to Bali. I had a month there previously. It was unbelievable, and I just have to go back. So, month in Bali, and then I am back in Europe to do a road trip around Scotland with the drone. So.
And after Scotland, any other plans?
Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow. You are all over the place. I love it.
That's the aim of the game, right? I mean, whoever said on their deathbed, I regret going to so many places.
That is a great way to end it, man. Thank you so much for your time, your insight. Everybody, definitely go check out David's Instagram account. And David, give him that Instagram handle.
The handle is saying yes is. And then, you just got to use your imagination for the next word, like saying yes is awesome, etc.
Beautiful. Currently at 19,000 followers, and I know that you've got your eyes set on some bigger numbers on Instagram, but I love how you're playing it safe. You're not doing things that are going to get you kicked off of Instagram or shut down on Instagram. That's kind of my style, Let's just do it right. Let's provide great content, and goodness will follow. So good work there, my man, and thanks so much for chatting with me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right, brother. Safe travels.
Yeah, speak to you soon.